Hey everybody, I'm a little sick today. I got a bit of a cold, but I haven't streamed in like a full week, so I figured I would show you what I'm working on now, which is something really fun. I'm working on this Ninja Turtles commission. It's pen and ink on paper. It's on Bristol board. I'm sorry that the camera is going to be shaking a little bit because it's on one of those like rubbery hand things. I'm going to try to avoid it. Yeah, I don't know how to, if it's too much, I understand people don't want to like watch it shake. I'm going to have to get a better camera set up. And maybe you can also hear my cat in the background making noises. Not sure why he's doing that. A bit under the weather, but I'm really excited to work on this. So I'm also excited to do my first ever stream with traditional media. And I get to do Ninja Turtles, which is like one of my favorite things ever. So join me as I work on this for the next hour and a half or so. When you see me leaning this way, it's because the drawing board that I use, this old school drawing board, is so big that it's covering the screen. Hell yeah, man. What's up, Lone Wolf? Turtles is the best. Let me type this in. I'm gonna leave a thing from that says, please like the video, because it actually really does help. It really boosts the video. Like I'm seeing it now that when I get a few more likes, I get like 100 more views or more. So I'm gonna just leave that as like a pinned comment. There you go. All right, let me get out my pens. We can get started. All right, we've got my Micron pens, markers, Faber-Castell brush pen, and a pencil, mechanical pencil. That's everything. You working morning shifts at which job, Lone Wolf? Also, I'm glad to see you too, buddy. Oh, cool. So, yeah, your day job at the convenience store? Yeah, man, we've all got our day jobs. I remember mine for sure. What's up, Artie? How you doing, man? Tell you guys, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. I'm getting married in 3 weeks. And can't come soon enough. Really looking forward to it. Every aspect of it. I'm looking forward to the wedding itself and being married to this woman, and also for this period of planning and chaos to be done. Because man, it has been a lot to deal with. So, but we're at the end of it now. We're almost done. Thanks, man. Yeah, so this, thank you for saying congrats. What I'm working on right now, just so you guys know, is this is, obviously a physical piece, traditional, and it's for my art dealer. I now have representation from an art dealer, Scott Kearns at Catskill Comics, who represents a few guys from Marvel and DC. And he tapped me to represent me, so he's going to drive up tomorrow. I'm going to be handing him some of my originals to sell, and I wanted to finish this one in time to include it in the bunch. So if anyone watches this channel and they want to buy some of my originals, some comic art from a professional and pen and ink, all fancy looking, you're going to just contact Mr. Kearns, and he'll set you up. I'm going to be taking commissions through him from now on exclusively. That's the contract. So, yeah, I never read the original Turtles comic. I always I always knew them through the movies, and then I felt like I missed that generation. I was a little young when it came out. I was 7. Hey, what's up, Johnny? Thanks. I feel bad for my cat. My cat really wants some attention, but I can't, I can't give him what he wants right now. Don't eat that. Don't, he's chewing a plant that's grown into the window. Okay, whatever, he's fine. Artie Goss says, by the way, Ryan, I have a book recommendation for you, The Dream Master by Roger Zelazny. It's a sci-fi book from the 1960s and is a kind of retelling of The Lady of Shalott from the Arthurian legend. I was listening to the audiobook. It's pretty good. That's awesome. That sounds like something I would probably really enjoy. Thank you for that. Is it for free? Where can I listen to it? Yeah, Artie, you can post it in my Discord. Do you have an invite to my Discord, Artie? Because you can probably just message it to me directly. Unless, I mean, of course, you want to share it with Dan, too. That's for real. I get that. But if you don't, if you're not in my Discord, Artie, let me know. I'll have someone send you an invite. If Johnny or Edgar or anyone can probably just, you know, post a link. Hey, what's up, Edgar? You say it in all caps, and I hear the theme song in my head. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Also, I apologize to everybody for the nasaliness of my voice. I'm a little under the weather today. We caught a cold. Me and the missus caught a cold over the past couple of days. Neither one of us was getting a lot of sleep, but we rested really well last night, but we still got a little bit of phlegm with a capital PH. Hey, what's up, Nick DeLuca? How you doing, man? Cowabunga, whatever the hell. Yeah, could somebody please send an invite to Artie? Just post it in the chat if you can. I was doing this thing where it was like for people who sub to the Patreon, but at this point I'd rather just give it to people who watch my channel. That's enough for me. It's enough qualifications. And anyone jumping in who's a lurker, which is there's always lurkers. If anyone watching could please remember to like the video, because I've found out how much it actually helps when people like the video. It's hugely helpful. Thank you, Johnny, for posting the link to the Discord. Because what happens is when you like the video, the algorithm just like scoops it right up and gives it to more people. So it makes a difference by like hundreds of views, maybe more. All right. So before I ink the background, I think I want to tighten up the background more with pencils. My ruler was damaged, so I had to throw it away. So I'm going to use this copy of Crying Freeman, this manga, as a ruler for its straight edge. You saw it here first. Also, good news for anybody, any of my readers or watchers or fans of my comics that live in the Connecticut area. I'm going to be trying to make an appearance at the Connecticut Comic Con in Hartford in July. So try to find me there. It'd be cool. Yeah, Edgar, that is. I always wonder that too. I was like, why are so many YouTubers being like, could you please like and subscribe? And like, the reason is because if the algorithm sees that a handful of people like the video, it starts boosting it higher. And it's like a huge difference. Like, if I get like 10 likes, I get like 200 more views, which, you know, for a small timer like me, that's a lot of people. So, everybody watching, please like the video. Thank you for doing so. Thanks, man. I hope I feel better soon too. Something funny. I made it through the entire winter without getting sick, and then the minute it turned into spring and it was beautiful out, I catch a cold. And I'm wondering if that's just because we were burning our engines for like 8 months, and then we just finally, like, you know, slowed down the past few days. Okay, Nick is talking to somebody named Dan. Pedro Boaro. Is that you? Is it Pedro Boaro? He says your art is amazing. Thank you so much, Pedro. Thanks for being here, man. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for saying so. This is my channel where I draw live, and I talk with my phlegmy, sick voice into a microphone. This is where the people come here for that specifically. Yeah, I've done that too, Lone Wolf. Thanks, Lone Wolf. Yeah, I think for the conventions that I'm going to this summer, I'm going to be, I'm going to have to pick up a lot of extra copies of Black Marrow because that's the thing that people know me for. So, but I'm also going to be doing commissions, selling them there, and maybe even bringing my art dealer with me, since he's, you know, he's my guy. And if he's not there, maybe I'll. The cat is driving me crazy today. Even if he doesn't come with me, I think I still give him 20% off the top. Thanks, Artie. We love the deteriorating corpse ASMR. That's perfect. That's exactly what I am. Enjoy. I got your letters, America. Thanks, Edgar. Do you mean the shading in ink? I'm assuming you don't mean the pencil because my pencils are extremely rough. Um, but yeah, Edgar says your shading is immaculate. I don't know how you do it so perfectly. So there's a system in which I kind of just like, you learn how lighting sources work, which is where a lot of it comes from. You just learn where the shadow is going to be, and depending on the type of style you're going for, you shade it differently. So this is like really traditional comic style, where it's like, at least American comics, big chunky black shadows. Essentially, if you look, I'm using the big, they call it spot blacking, where you just like decide this is a big black area and it's just in the shadow represents a lot. And then around it, I kind of sculpt it with fine line to give it some shape so it's not just like a messy marker. But you just learn to do that, over and over. And then in the areas where there's less shadow, you use line. I know that's me like super oversimplifying it, but the line does a lot of things. It implies, in some places like here, it implies fading shadow. And then other places like on his hand there, it's like texture more than anything, Lone Wolf, that's awesome. Going back and forth between inks and pencils, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot very quickly. And your inks have been really solid lately. I'm very clumsy today because I'm a bit sick. Sorry, everybody. Lone Wolf says, still learning shading, sort of confused by it to a degree. Usually arts exaggerating shading. MT artists exaggerate shading. Could you explain what you mean, Lone Wolf? Yeah, what's the MT stand for? Oh, I see. You guys already discussed this. MT stands for Mistel. I don't know what that is. Mike is making stuff. Hey, what's up, Mike? He says, "Oh, this is memories. I used to pencil sketch. I used to pencil sketch and gave up on trying to do hatch shading like this and just stuck with blending graphite." Yeah, that's a totally other way to go. I never had, I don't know, for some reason people are drawn toward different things. I was always drawn toward line instead of pencil. Like I always liked pens. I always liked inking. It always felt very complete to me. And I can pencil sketch, but like, if you want to see someone who's incredible with a pencil in his hand, just look at Steven Zapata. Jesus Christ, what an absolute rock star. You put a pencil in his hand, he can make anything. Just pencil on paper. Show me some of your cross-hatching, Lone Wolf. And if you want, I can recommend some artists who are incredible at it, such as the great Arthur Adams, one of the best cross-hatchers ever. Yeah, I mean, I would see pencil is more forgiving in that you can erase, but I find ink, after a while, it has such a strong presence that ends up becoming very forgiving in its own way, you know? Forgiving in that, like, it's easier to make, I find it easy to make something look sexy and cool with ink, you know? I think you can hide your flaws behind big, deep shadows and, high contrast. Mike Making Stuff says, I mean, finished product came out good, but I could hide a lot of crimes. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Not like it would be with a pen. Yeah, it's just different for me. I mean... Steven Zapata with a P. PPB. Zapata. He was actually, if you're interested, Lone Wolf, he came on for an episode of The Big Draw. I had him on. We talked for like 2 hours. He's a brilliant guy. He was going to be on again in April, but life just got away from him. Too much going on. So maybe I'll reach out to him sometime after my wedding, and see if he wants to come on again. Yeah, it's Zapata. Yeah, isn't Adams good, Lone Wolf? Arthur Adams he's incredible. Dude. He's been doing it for a long time, and every time he cranks out a piece, it's just beautiful line work. And I've never seen him turn in a bad drawing. I bet his original pages probably go for so much. I've been looking at a lot of original art recently and just being like, yeah, this is probably like $4,000. Mike says, first time tuning in, beautiful work. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. Is this the graphic style you lean toward, or do you variate? Sorry, not familiar with her portfolio yet, though I will be looking for it. Thanks for that, man. So first of all, there's a link tree in the video if you want to check out my stuff, just, because you're new here. I have a website where I sell my comics. I do this for a living. I draw storyboards and I make comics to, pay for my chicken. And my Instagram is there, so you can see my usual work. I often work digital, but I used to work fully traditional, and I'm doing it again because I have a new art dealer who's going to be selling my original pages. Long story short, this is generally the style I typically work in. I work in some variation of this. Sometimes I don't do so much like heavy line shadow, and I end up doing stuff that looks more European, where it's more like cross-hatched and light inks. But this is something when I'm drawing on paper, I tend to do a lot of this, a lot of like deep, heavy shadows, because it just feels really satisfying. So yeah, I would say this graphic style is something that I learned growing up from American comics, and it's very much a part of how I see like good comic art in my head, like the type of drama that I want. Yeah, I would say this is fairly close to my usual style. Sometimes I paint. Sometimes I do like painted illustrations. But thanks for being here. Thank you for the kind words. Mike says, I have no idea why this comes to mind, but when I see what you have here, it reminds me of Frank Frazetta. Wow, that's a nice thing to say. Loved his work as a kid, like many did, I'm sure. Dude, I was just talking. It's funny, Mike, in one of my previous episodes, I was talking about how much I love Frank Frazetta and how it's like he's this like dead hero that none of us can quite be as good as him. Even if somebody is as good as him, they're still not. It's like Jack Kirby. Like even if you draw in a way you can mirror his style completely, you're still like not as good as Jack Kirby. There's just something about an artist who died at his peak like that, where you're like, yeah, he's just immortal, untouchable. Frank Frazetta is amazing. And I was just talking about how one of the previous streams I did, I was talking about how something Frank Frazetta said stayed in my brain, where he said he doesn't care about how realistic. He's like, I don't care about realistic your art is, and the rendering. He's like, all that stuff is fine. What I really care about is drama and imagination and style. He's like, if you can tell me a story with an image and it's exciting and it's sensual and it pulls me in, he's like, I'll love you forever. That's what he said. And I think about that every day because I get obsessed over the dumb stuff like, what's the best line art style? It doesn't matter. What matters is like the power of an image and whether or not it's dramatic enough to pull in a viewer, and that's something I have to keep reminding myself so I don't get lost in the weeds, What's up, Broken Blade? Mike says, I think it's the ability to capture visceral while being monochrome. Yeah, Frazetta was really good at that, man. He, even though he was known for his paintings, Frazetta always said pen and ink was his favorite medium to work in, which is like one of those things that's just amazing to me. I think he just loved how fast and dramatic it was. He was a comic book guy, Oh, you're right. Yeah, I drew the turtle with I realized that after I started inking that I drew him with 3 fingers instead of 2. And I had to double check and be like, because it's been a while since I've looked at the hands of Ninja Turtles. Good eye, PD. Let's see if the client captures that at all. The client hasn't commissioned this yet. This is me. Well, technically he did, but he didn't say exactly what he wanted. He was just like, I would love to see this. He reached out to my guy and he was like, I want to see this guy draw Ninja Turtles. And I was like, all right, this is what I have in mind. but I don't know. I maybe it'll matter. Arthur Adams is a beast. It's true. Oh, if you have a link to that piece, Lone Wolf, drop it in the chat. Or if you want, drop it in the Discord. This is a perfect thing to put in the Discord for like inspiration of like, you know, any Arthur Adams piece that you like. Just drop it in the Discord or here. Just like spam everybody with it. Do it. Oh, you worked with Lou. I don't know how to say his last name, but I believe I know who that is. Do you draw, Mike? Kyle, how are you, man? Turtle power indeed. How be you this day, Mike? Kyle Martin. Sorry, not Mike. I apologize to everybody. I'm a little bit sick. As I said before, it's throwing me off. Mugen. I'm gonna feed you in a second, buddy. Hold up, guys. I gotta feed my cat. I'm back. Let's see. Mike says, everyone else here draw or just fans of Ryan's work? Most of the people who come in here seem to be artists themselves. And I have a Discord where people can post their own art and we can talk and chat and, you know. But most of them are artists in some way. I mean, there's a few that are professionals. I know Kyle in the chat. He's a professional working in the creative field. Maya, who sometimes comes in here, Gross Girl, she's often here. She's another pro. But some of them are, people that are learning and just, they like watching artists work and they have questions about the business. And some of them just come to troll me. So I'm a big fan of doing this. I'm a big fan of line weight as a way of distinguishing importance of objects. So I got these big thick inks on these figures in the front. And when I get to the background here, I'm using a pretty thin line, just kind of suggesting things, using textures and, And if you just get your muscle control down, you can do a lot of straight-ish lines without needing a ruler. And even that inconsistency in the line, that can be a part of the style, where you just the little quiver in the line can actually make it more interesting sometimes. Some of the people who've joined, Mike, to answer your question more thoroughly than you probably needed, some of the people that have joined recently are people who know me from my comics. They read, there's a few people that have reached out who they read Black Marrow, my graphic novel, and they found me through there. I'm doing a third printing of the book now, and it's going to be sold on my website, which the links are there. Through the new third printing, I'm actually putting a little QR code in it with my social media so people can follow me if they just scan it right out of the book, which I should have been doing initially, but honestly, it was more successful than I really thought it was going to be. So I didn't realize that there would be such an opportunity to get people to know who I was, So I'm trying to avoid tangents by not having any of these lines touch the line of the character. Yo, what's up, Jacobo? Kyle is professionally unprofessional. Kyle is professionally a charming stud muffin who I enjoy having in my life very much. That's what he's a pro at, but don't tell my fiance. It looks straight. It is straight. Jimmy, yeah, DeResta. Mike's funny. Okay, just talking about stuff in the Discord. Jacobo says, this is fucking cool. Thanks, Jacobo. I can curse now because it's been more than 10 minutes since the video started. Can't catch me, algorithm. We're going to talk about nasty shit now that they can't catch me. Okay, so I was, this is supposed to be Leonardo fighting samurai in a feudal Japanese home type thing, and I researched it to make sure that it was accurate enough, but man, I'm sorry my chair is so goddamn loud. in reality, there wouldn't be this much of these textures because Japanese homes, even 1,000 years ago, they were like, the wood was insanely beautifully varnished. Like, it's very smooth. You wouldn't get these textures where it looks like a log cabin that you'd find in like North America at the turn of the century. But for the sake of just the quality of the drawing and the fun and the visual, creating visual interest with texture, I'm going to just fudge with history a bit. Dude, what is with this cat? You guys hear him complaining? I just fed him a full meal again, and he gets in these moods where he just constantly whines. I don't know. We were worried that the cat had diabetes because he just seems like he's always hungry no matter how much we feed him. But they said the blood work came back normal. He's a rescue, so we're still figuring out what the hell he even is about. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know what he's about, what he's up to, why he's like this. Okay. Jacobo, we're a little over an hour in to answer your question, but I'm going to be on for like another half hour or so. Kyle Martin says, Ryan, I had to completely redo 5 hours worth of work after a meeting today. So seeing your beautiful face is the only thing that brings me joy from the endless pit of loathing I currently feel. Kyle, why did that happen? Was it okay? It wasn't because you lost the file or something, right? Like that. It was because they just didn't like what you did. They want you to redo it. If that's, I think I would be more upset if it was like a technical issue, like, but I don't know. I haven't been in your position because it's different in that. I mean, what am I saying? I have been in that position. I'm just not in it now at this particular moment. But I've been in that position where a client is like, I don't like it, do it again, and you're like, I'm gonna die. But that sucks. I was wondering what you meant by that because there was a comic artist recently who drew an entire issue of a comic book and lost the entire thing because he didn't save it or back it up, and his Procreate, something happened, it crashed, and his iPad just erased the entire issue. Like 24 pages of art. And this guy, I think his name is Jason Alexander Thomas, something. I forgot the name. Alexander something. He's a really good artist, and his work is insanely detailed and like super high quality. So the fact that he lost an entire issue, like it made its way around the industry. Like people were talking about it on a comics podcast of a completely different group of guys who were like, oh, did you hear what happened to what's his face? Lost the entire issue of a comic, like fully illustrated. But I was like, how does that happen? Like I back up, if I back up every page. I finish a page and then I save it to Dropbox and I save it to Google Drive, to my iCloud rather. And if it's like a PSD that's taking a long time to do, like a layered file, I save the file. I save it to my, because Procreate holds it in Procreate, but it doesn't save it. If it loses it, it's just gone. I would never allow that. I would try to avoid it any way I could. Is what I'm trying to say. Kyle, can you tell us what it is you have to redo? Oh, Jacobo, I know. People already told me about the three-fingered problem that is my drawing. It makes me want to chew off my own face thinking about it. Yeah, I heard that story, and as a guy who uses Procreate a lot, I was like, oh, like it physically hurt. I was just... Kyle was animating a sequence of a three-legged wolf pup sliding down an icy hill. That sounds really hard and fun. Sounds like a very difficult thing to do. The fact that you're an animator, Kyle, makes me want to ask you so many questions all the time. But Kyle, I'm glad that the beauty and light that comes from my shining brown eyes was enough to cheer you up or to keep you from the edge of despair. Such is the unconditional love I bear thee. And this is the beginning of me announcing my brand new religious cult. Join. It's free. For now. I always think about that quote from The Office where Creed says, I've been in a religious cult both as a leader and a follower. He's like, you have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader. So announcements to anyone who might have missed it. I believe I'm going to be at the Hartford, Connecticut Comic-Con at the Mohegan Sun, I believe, is where they have it every year. There's one in July. I'm going to be going. I'm going to try to go as a vendor and actually have my own table and sell my comics. But if not, I'll just be stopping by and, just doing my thing. But I should be able to get a spot as a vendor, I think. I know that's a pretty competitive con. Big Apple Con is in November. I might be doing that one too. So for anyone who doesn't know, because they missed the beginning, the reason I'm working traditionally, aside from the fact that I'm enjoying it, is because I'm starting to do commissions. And the reason for that is that I have a new art dealer who is representing me. And some advice that he gave me, well, more like a request, since he stands to make money, if I make more money. He said that, I've been doing Black Marrow, my King Arthur book. They've been fully digital. And now that the character is getting kind of popular and that my work is a little more known and that he's going to be representing me, he's like, you should be doing some of these pages in traditional media. You should be doing it on paper with pen so I can resell it. Because if the character's popular and you're popular enough, people may want to buy the originals, and you should probably start preparing for that. Because he was like, if you're doing this all digital, and this is stuff I know, but hearing it from a guy who works in the field is like, it is impactful to remind me of my priorities. He said, like, if you're doing it fully digital, you're leaving money on the table. Because that's, and he's right. Like, after book 1 came out, I had somebody actually approach me about buying the original pages, or at least some of them, the splash pages. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. They're digital. I drew it in Procreate and Clip Studio. I can sell you a print. I'll sign it. But they wanted this. They wanted the inks. So I'm going to try to do this, which means more streams like this where I'm working on paper. Is that fun for you guys? Is that exciting? Because I'm going to try to do some, when I do my original art, I'm going to try to do as much of it on paper as I can. Now that there's like a chance at something lucrative as a result, And the guy, the art dealer, it's Scott Kearns, who's a veteran of the industry and came highly recommended. He actually, when he was trying to get me to sign with him, he was, like really selling himself and being like, hey, listen, if you're going to sign with somebody, it should be me, and here's why. And he sent me the email addresses of 3 different artists who've worked for Marvel and DC, and just so that I would ask them what they thought of him and so that they would tell me how awesome he was. And it worked, because they all said he's wonderful. They said he's an honest businessman, and a handshake is as good as a contract, they said, with him. And they said he's made them, good money as artists. They're like, yeah, he's done a good job, like getting me work and selling my originals and stuff. And you're in this business long enough, you start to realize that you make more money from selling originals and doing side work than you do off the pages for a book. The page rate is never really the main source of income. It's often the sales afterwards, both the sales of the book and the original pages, I mean. So later, Kyle. Go for a run, man. Get that stress hormone down so that you can come back and take a hot bath with rose petals. Yeah, I think a lot of people prefer watching traditional work. I think that's really a part of it, Oh, later, Artie. Thanks for stopping in, man. It's good to see you again. Lone Wolf says, I like watching and learning than trying to replicate. For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I do. That's kind of how I learn too, really, honestly. I just like look at people who are way better than me and I try to emulate the best parts of their work. And even in falling short of that, you just improve. What do you think is wrong? What do you think is the weakness, Lone Wolf, in your structures and in your trees? It's interesting that you mentioned both of them because they're so different. Like I'm way better at drawing nature than I am at structure. I can draw structure well enough to pass, but, you know, I'm much better with nature. I find it more easy. I can draw nature, like organics, I can draw without any thinking. It's just easy. Lone Wolf, do you have a copy of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way? Because it can address this problem that you're having really well. It's the book I recommend most often to people that are working on their art, you know? I don't know anyone watching, I don't know a single professional artist that doesn't still have a copy of that book. It's amazing how many people just have it. It's a Bible of incredible illustration from the original Marvel masters of the Silver and even the Golden Age. Although really they're Silver Age because most Golden Age stuff refers to DC. Broken Blade says, man, this is cool. Thanks, man. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it. This stream is doing really well. I'm getting a lot of people in this one. I think it's because so many of you very generously gave the video a like, which I really appreciate. If anyone hasn't liked the video, please do, because it really helps the algorithm. You know, I don't think I'll have time to finish the entire piece, but I can get most of it done before I have to go pick up my fiance. I'll sub if you say I love Monkey. I will not be blackmailed, Monkey. I do love monkeys though, and maybe that counts. But I can't say I love this monkey because I don't know this monkey. You might be one of those monkeys that steals people's keys in Thailand and runs away with them. I've heard about you. It doesn't surprise me that that monkey would learn how to operate a computer and heckle a starving artist. Yeah, Lone Wolf, there's a really great section on perspective. I mean, that book has a great section on pretty much every avenue of illustration, but the section on illustration really opened my eyes. Oh, nice, Lone Wolf. You're reading Loomis. Yeah, Loomis is one of the best. Broken Blade says, Ryan, your rendering skills are humbling. Oh, thank you, man. LOL. I still have much to learn. Listen, I got much to learn too. Like, I'm proud of where I am and I'm happy, but I'm also looking at this and seeing where I could improve, you know? Not like, I don't torture myself. I'm not like, oh, you still suck, you know? I like my work, but I feel like I'm looking at this and being like, yeah, I can see where I messed up a little bit, but hopefully people won't care. Hopefully they'll still enjoy it. But thank you for saying so. I'm happy with how it's coming out. It's nice. I haven't worked on paper in a while. It's been like, up until a few days ago, it had been almost, I mean, actually no, it had not been a year because I just did the sketch covers for the Black Marrow Kickstarter. But even then, when I went back to the covers, I was like, man, I really hope I can still do this because I've been working on screens for so long. But really, you don't lose much. In fact, I would say I feel like the time I spent drawing in Procreate and Clip Studio and all that, my skills, the improvement that I saw there definitely seems to be transferring to paper. I feel really good about it. It's like, oh, okay, good. And, the logic and you know, the hand movement, everything, it's still there. So thank you. Edgar's finally going to make a comic. That's cool, Edgar. Edgar, like a few months ago, 2 months ago or so, I think I gave you a little bit of homework. I said you needed to work on, I wanted to see you draw faces, is what I said. Because I could tell you were avoiding drawing faces. You're still kind of avoiding it. I think you've done a lot of drawings recently where I can see a huge improvement, but you're still putting masks and helmets on all of your characters. And I have yet to see an Edgar face. Not your face, Edgar. I've seen your face. I want to see a face that you drew. And if you're doing a comic, my request is that you have characters with visible, developed faces. Even if they look wonky and you're embarrassed by it, do it. Don't avoid drawing faces, because it's the most important thing you'll learn how to draw, is a human face. Your inner critic is a little harsh on you? Broken Blade? Yeah, I mean, you just got to learn to turn the volume down and just be like, well, I'm having fun, so shut up. And that's how I treat my inner critic. I just tell him, like, past a certain point, I don't care what he thinks too much. Okay, I think it's going to be it for today, guys. I got to go pick up my fiance from work. I hope you guys had fun. Thank you so much for being here. Anybody watching, please like the video. It really helps. And yeah, you're the best. I love you. Later.